Hey crafty friends, it's Caroline and I'm back today with a very simple tutorial for a really fun and functional folio. To begin with, we are going to cut one of our pieces that's 8.5 by 11 to 6 1/4 by 11. Save your cutoffs. We're going to cut another one that is 6 1/4 by 8.5. Again, save your cutoffs. And then from the cutoff on the 6 1/4 by 8.5 inch piece of paper, we're going to cut that down to 4 1/8 by 3 5/8. We're going to get 2 of those out of this one. There's 1, 3 5/8. That's 2. And then we're going to cut this one down to 4 more that measure 4 1/8 by 3 5/8. And then this last piece here, we're going to cut that down to 4 1/8 by 8.5. And then we're going to cut this to 6 1/4. So this one's going to be 6 1/4 by 4 1/8. And then the other piece that we've got cut off here, we're going to cut this one down to 4 1/2 by 6. Okay, and so we do have, you know, a few little scrappies over here. You can use those for tags or other projects, or you can just toss them. Seriously, there's like, you have permission to toss them. It's okay. We're only using 4 pieces of cardstock for this, so it's coming together pretty nicely. So on the piece that we just cut that measures 6 by 4 1/2, we are going to score that at 1/2 inch on the 4 1/2 inch side. And then we're going to turn it so that score mark is at the top, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch on the 6 inch side. And this is going to make an angled pocket for one of our pages. And then on the piece that measures 6 1/4 by 4 1/8, we're going to put that in here on the 6 1/4 inch side, and we're going to score that at 1/2 inch and 5/8 of an inch. Or you could also score from the right hand side if you're like me, and you would score it at 5 3/4 and 5 5/8. Either way, it's going to get you there. And then for the 6 pieces here that measure 3 5/8 by 4 1/8, we're going to put that in on the 3 5/8 inch side. We're going to score that at 1/2 inch, or in this case, I'm going to score it at 3 1/8. That's going to get me there. So I'm going to score all 6 of those like that. For the piece that measures 6 1/4 by 8.5, we're going to put that in on the 8.5 inch side, and we're going to score that at 4 1/4 and 4 5/8. And for the piece that measures 6 1/4 by 11, we're going to put that in on the 11 inch side, and we're going to score that at 4 1/4, 4 5/8, 9, and 9 1/2. And then once we have scored all of our markings on all of our pieces, we're going to fold and burnish. And once we have folded and burnished all of our score marks, then we are going to take the 2 pieces that are the base for our folio, the one that measures 8.5 by 6 1/4 and the one that measures 11 by 6 1/4. And we are going to put those together so that the 8.5 by 6 1/4 inch piece is going to be glued on top of the 11 by 6 1/4 inch piece over here. And how we're going to do that is we're going to take the piece that measures 11 by 6 1/4, and you've got this one little piece over here that measures like 1.5 inch overhang. That's going to be on the right hand side. And then on this one over here, you've got this shorter piece here that only measures it's like 3 7/8 or something like that inch piece here. And that's going to go over here on this on the left side over here. So I'm going to label these as piece A and piece B. Okay. And so piece B is the 11 inch by 6 1/4. Piece A is the 8 1/2 inch by 6 1/4. And I'm actually going to turn these over. So we've got kind of the folds are all coming up. I'm going to turn it over like this. And we're going to glue the larger size onto the smaller side. And I want to turn it over because I want it to just come up to that score mark. So if you can see here where that score mark is, I'm going to glue that just up to that score mark. And I want to put the glue on the smaller piece of paper so I don't have any overhang with the glue. And so that's why I like to turn them upside down to do that. So we're just simply going to put glue all over the back side. You can use, you can use double-sided tape. You know, you could use your dry adhesive. You could use a different type of glue. I'm using art glitter glue on this one, but it really doesn't matter. You just need to stick it down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of like drag the edge into the glue a little bit, just so I've got glue on the very edge of that one. You see that? And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to come almost to that score mark. Not quite, just almost to the score mark. If I fold it over, you'll see that it doesn't go beyond that score mark. It stays right there in that edge. I'm making sure that my top and bottom are lined up, and they are, and then I'm just going to give it a really firm burnishing. So I have basically attached piece A onto piece B. Just smoothing out. I think I got my glue all the way to the edge here. I wasn't very careful on the edge there, so I just slipped a little bit of glue underneath there. You'll do a better job. Or you'll slip glue underneath it the way I did. That works just fine too. Okay, so now we have, this is the base for our folio. And how this is going to work is it's going to open up like this, and then like this. Or it can also be oriented this way. So it's almost like a little envelope. And so it would open up like this, and like this. Okay. So once we've got the base for our folio in place, we can go ahead and start adding our other components. Now, for this piece here that we scored on the two sides, now this was the piece that measures 6 by 4 1/2. Set that one aside. We'll deal with that one later. The first thing we want to address is all of these little 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 finished folded pieces here. Well, actually by 4 1/8 is what it is. And they're 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. And I made it that way so it would fit inside of the width here of this 4 1/4 inch width on that one. We are simply going to, let's see, I want to round the corners. We're going to round all the corners opposite the fold. So here's the fold. These are the corners opposite, the opposite side. I'm going to go ahead and round all of them using a 1/4 inch corner rounder. And then I'm going to take the piece that measures 4 inches, or 4 1/8, I'm sorry, by 6 1/2. And I'm going to go ahead and round those corners on the side opposite of the folds as well. Now this one's got that 1/8 of an inch gusset fold in there as well. And this is what's going to sort of hold our waterfall together. So all of these pieces here are going to be used to build our waterfall. And how I'm going to do that is I'm simply going to put glue on the 1/2 inch fold piece here. That's going to be our attachment. And again, you can use dry adhesive, you can use, liquid, wet glue. It really doesn't matter. And I'm going to place it at the very top here and center it between those fold lines. Now the distance in between these fold lines in this middle panel here should be just barely over 4 1/4. And we've cut these to 4 1/8. So it's not a big difference, it's not like much smaller than there, but we want to center it in between those two fold lines. And that's just going to give us enough room to be able to open and close it and without it catching on the sides like that. Once we get our first one in place and we're flush with the top there, then we are going to open that up and place glue on the second one, just on that 1/2 inch attachment here. And we're going to line it up with the first one we just glued down. making sure that the kind of right and left side are lined up there. I like to pull this one down and just make sure that I'm lined up correctly. Once I get it right where I want it to be, off by just a little bit here. That's good. Then I'm going to give it a firm burnishing from the top side, kind of over the fold, open it up, then from the back side as well. And I'm going to continue on in the same method where I'm putting the glue on the 1/2-inch fold piece here for each of these waterfall pieces, these 3 1/8 by 4 1/8 finished size pieces. Lining them up with the one below. I'm just butting it up right against, if you can see here, I'm just butting it up right against that piece that I just glued down. Checking to make sure that I'm straight, and I am. Give it a little burnishing from the top, open it up, give a burnishing from the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and do all 6 of those, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that I've got all 6 of those glued down here, you know, on my base for my waterfall here, then I'm going to take the piece that originally measured 6 1/2 by 4 1/8, and we did the 1/2-inch score mark, and then we did one at 5/8 of an inch, and that's going to create this little 1/8 of an inch gusset here. And so we're going to glue that down just on the 1/2-inch portion at the bottom. And this is what's going to create like a little bit of a closure, and then also just another area for us to put some photos or journal or whatever it is that we want to do with this sweet little folio. So I put my glue just on the 1/2-inch part. See, I didn't put it on that little 1/8 of an inch gusset there. So then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to attach this, kind of center it here in between, and it's the same width as the waterfall pieces, so I should be lining up left and right with the waterfall, and then I've lined up that fold mark with the very bottom of my folio. Give it a firm burnishing, kind of stand up that gusset again. And so this is going to be the part that sort of closes over on our waterfall that goes this way, or if we have it oriented this way, it'll open up like this, and then our pages will open up in this way. So that's pretty fun there. I am going to put a magnet closure on here. You don't have to. You could do a ribbon closure, or you could not do a closure at all, because this is all going to be encased in here. It really doesn't necessarily need one, but I feel like it makes for a nice finish to go ahead and put that magnet on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center of my paper here. So again, this 4 1/8, so the center is going to be just right about 2 inches there. I'm going to take a magnet, I'm going to put it about 1/2 inch from the edge, and take a piece of double-sided tape and just tape it down right there. Kind of burnish around it. Get a second magnet, let it sort of find where it needs to be. Get another piece of double-sided tape and have it so that the sticky side is up on that double-sided tape, okay? And then this part here, I'm putting my fingers in place here. I'm keeping that tape from catching just yet. What I want to do is I want to make sure that my gusset here, that this little gusset that I've created, that is straight up and down, that it's not, you know, leaning forward or leaning back at an angle. I want to keep that straight up and down. And once I have that where I want it to be, then I'm just going to push on either side of that tape so that it will grab. And it doesn't matter if it's an angle like that, because it's all going to get covered with paper. And so now we have our little magnet closure holding this down, and we're ready to go ahead and move on to our pocket. So this piece here that measured 6 by 4 1/2, this is what's going to be our pocket. And we're going to make this as an angled corner pocket. So on those 2 score marks, I'm going to fold one of the sides back. I'm going to miter this little corner here. I'm going to place my scissors right in that little groove there where those 2 fold marks meet. And I'm going to give it just a slight, you know, kind of slightly 45-ish angle out. Open it up and kind of give it another one so that I've taken a little bit of bulk out of there. And then on these 2 here, I'm going to just give it a slight miter from the fold going out. So just very slight little miters on there. And then I want this to be an angled pocket that is setting right in here. And so I'm going to measure up from that fold line from the lower right hand side. I'm going to measure up 1 inch. So I'm going to come up 1 inch and make a little tick mark. And then I'm going to measure over from the left hand side fold line. I'm going to measure over 1 inch and I'm going to make a little tick mark. And then I'm going to grab my trimmer and I'm going to line up. I'm going to put both of the tick marks on the cutting edge so that they're going to create like an angle from those two points. And just drop your blade. And now we have a perfectly angled pocket to attach here onto this flap as well. So I'm going to put glue on the, well, maybe. I'm going to put just a little bit of dollop of glue there on that one back little bit here where they overhang to attach that. And then once that's in place, then I'm going to glue it all down on here. I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down. This is just a fun little folio. And where I see these are just super helpful when you have, you know, say, you know, like you want to send some pictures to grandma or godparents or something like that, just for like a little brag book, right? These fit into a mailer very easily and they're really nice like that. And if we wanted to orient it this way, it doesn't matter. That pocket's still going to work out just fine for us to put some things in there. You could go ahead and put another pocket on this page. I'm electing not to. I'm electing to keep that as an open page. And now the only other thing we need to do to complete this, other than putting our pattern paper on, is to attach a magnet for a closure here. So I am going to round these corners. I think it would just be a nice little finish. It kind of gives it sort of an envelope feel to it. Let's see how this is going to work. And I will have a complete cutting guide, as always, available on my website. It is a free PDF download for you, so you can hop on over there and pick that up if you missed any of the measurements. And so we're going to go ahead and attach this. I'm going to attach a magnet on here. And I'm just going to center it right there. Again, I'm coming down about 1/2 inch from the edge. Center my magnet closure. And you could also do a ribbon closure easily. You could do a ribbon closure on this too. I'm just choosing to go with the magnets because they're fun, and I just have to be honest, I love that sound that they make. And if you're wondering where all this paint is coming from on my fingers, if you saw my video on kind of where I've been, you would see that I've been painting rooms, and I'm still in the middle of doing all of that. So when I want to attach this one, what I want to do is I want to sort of bring this up. I'm bringing this edge here up flush just underneath the edge of that fold line where this is going to come over, and I'm going to bend it over and press it down. And that's just going to make sure that everything is going to be straight and true. Go ahead and open it up, give it a nice little burnishing. And that completes our cute little folio. And again, it can be opened this way. Open up, you've got place for pictures, journaling, all of those scraps that we had over here. You can easily make some, you know, tags or, let me see. Maybe not out of those scraps, but you could make some cards or tags or other things to put in there. I don't know where I put my scraps, sorry. But you could easily make a little card, something like that. Yeah, there's one. So you can see, like, kind of maybe fold that in half, and you've got a little place to put a card. You've got a place to put some photos. Since these are 4 1/4, you should easily be able to fit 4 by 6 photos in here. The finished size of the folio measures 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and it has a 1/2 inch, you know, at its thickest portion here. So that's it for this folio. I mean, it's super simple. I made this start to finish, just filming here with you guys in less than 25 minutes. So it's a really quick project. You can definitely mass produce these. It's something that you can kind of work on in that way. And I'm going to go ahead and decorate these with some pattern paper, and then I'll be right back and kind of show you how that came together. And then I also want to remind you, I will have full cutting guides for everything on my website as always. Okay, so I finished this sweet little folio and I love the way it turned out. Using the 6x6 papers that are available at Not Too Shabby was just perfect. This was made using 10 pieces of the Sunflower Bees paper. So I have plenty in here to make a whole other folio, and look at all these scraps that I can use to make my scrappy cards with. I only used 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of ephemera in this whole collection. So there's plenty of ephemera left over in their ephemera packs for making the cards. And like I said, I can easily make a second folio and still get, I mean, a lot of cards out of this, I'm sure of it. And these Not Too Shabby collections that come out of their monthly subscription box are just perfect for this folio and cards and other fun projects like this. So let's do a quick walkthrough, and then we'll see what is inside here. So this one I chose to orient portrait style, so it is, you know, vertical in its orientation here. I've got 6 1/4 inches tall, 4 1/4 inches wide. It opens up like this. It's got this magnetic closure, but we could easily do a tie closure around here as well. And then it opens up again. Plenty of room to place a photo or a journaling card or something like that in here. On this side over here, I left it open at the bottom here. I only glued it down at the top so that you could slip a photo or a journaling card in there. I didn't put anything on this one because it kind of, you know, it's got to fold up there in that way. There's plenty of room if you wanted to attach a photo, or you can just let the paper shine. They're so beautiful. This opens up again, and we've got a nice deep pocket in here for photos, journaling cards, what have you. I also attached this girl down so that there's enough of a tuck spot in here too that you can tuck something else in. This flap here also has a place that you can attach a photo underneath, and then if you want it more permanently attached, just go ahead and glue that down once you have it in place. This opens down like this. And then we've got our sweet little waterfall over here, which is just great for 3x4 photos or what have yous in here. And then it all folds back up again, and it's just the perfect size for a brag book, for a little highlighting of photos, perfect for Halloween. And anything that you want to go ahead and put in there, gift to others, keep in your purse. You know, like I said, it's a great little brag book. And then it can easily be oriented the other way as well. And to do that, you would just simply maybe adjust where you're going to put your ephemera so it would read in that way. Opening down, and then we would have our 3x4s kind of fanning out in this method. So I think it's something that you can put together super fast. All told, it took me just right at an hour to do all of this, and I stopped to go and get food for my kids and some other things. And as you can tell, I'm still doing some painting and things in between. But I would say allow for an hour, just an easy hour. It's a super easy crafting project. It's one of those things that you feel really accomplished when you're done, but you didn't have to spend a lot of brain power on working on. And like I said, it's sized perfectly for these 6x6 papers and ephemera collections that are available in Jamie's shop. Oh my goodness, she just has the cutest things. Can you imagine these with the strawberry paper? And then, you know, we've got this beautiful paper here. So that's what I've got for y'all today. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope you are being kind to yourselves, and I hope you're finding some joy in your journey. Thanks so much, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.